Common Sense Livestock Feeding by Dr. Michael J. Marin, Chapter 2, Factors that Affect Calf Birth Weight. One of the reasons I hear for doing a poor job of wintering the cow herd is that the owner doesn't want large, heavyweight calves at birth. Those great big calves cause lots of problems at calving. Too many have to be pulled, cows can be lost, and the vet has to be called out to the ranch in the middle of the night. So rather than risk any of these problems, the cows run on stubble with no supplement of any kind and winter over on all the grain the combine has missed. At the Pacific Northwest Animal Nutrition Conference held last month, Dr. Robert Bellows from the USDA Range Research Laboratory in Miles City, Montana, gave a presentation on the factors that affect calf size and dystocia. Many factors have an effect: genetics, calf sex, gestation length, breed, nutrition, age of the dam, number of calves, and last but not least, the pelvic area of the cow. Genetics plays a major role in calf birth weight. When you select your bulls and cows to produce calves with potential to gain rapidly after weaning, you also have selected calves that will be heavier than average birth weight. This means that when we breed for a high weaning weights and rapid grain gains in the feedlot, we are also breeding for calves that will grow rapidly before birth, and we must select those cows that are capable of having these large calves without difficulty. Also, bulls can be selected that have above average EPD for yearling weight, but below average for birth weight. Here's some nutritional effects. The two nutrients that have been studied to any degree are protein and energy. The table below shows the effects of different amounts of TDN on calf birth weight. If the required pounds of TDN are 10.5 to 12, and we feed 10.8 pounds, expected calf birth weight in this study was 57 pounds. Whereas if we fed 16.9 pounds, the calf birth weight was 63.8. The pounds of TDN required daily depends on body weight of the cow, cow flesh condition, and weather. Remember, this table is dealing with feed before calving. Most of the studies were begun 90 days prior to calving. This table shows that when an excess of energy is fed prior to calving, the birth weight of the calf can be increased significantly. Converting the above figures to pounds of average quality roughage, which would be about approximately 50% TDN, would mean that the group eating 10.8 pounds of TDN was fed 24 pounds of feed, while the group receiving 16.9 pounds was fed 37.5 pounds of feed. The authors of these studies reported that when too little energy was fed, there was a trend towards more calving difficulty. The calves from these groups had a higher incidence of scours, and calf survival to weaning was reduced. Another dramatic effect was in reduced heat and subsequent pregnancy of these cows. Studies with different levels of proteins fed to cows before calving yielded interesting and confusing results. The table below is a summary of these three different studies. Dr. Bellows in 1978, the calf birth weight with low protein was 72.6, high protein 83.6. Dr. Anthony in 1986, low protein calves were 77 pounds, high protein only 79.2. And Drs. Bolze and Cora in 1986 showed that the low protein calves were 90.2 and high protein calves were 90.2. So in these groups, the low protein groups are fed 75 to 81% of the recommended values, approximately 4.5% crude protein, and the high protein group was fed 140%, approximately 10% crude protein. Note that in the first study shown above, there was a significant difference in birth weight, yet the other two studies did not show any practical difference. The authors have no explanation for the results. However, it is probably best not to feed excessive amounts of protein. Although not part of these studies, researchers at the University of Idaho have shown that not enough protein also has serious consequences to the calves as well as future reproduction of the cow herd.